a kind and disciplined environment. Okay. Usko kholo. This door should be open. इसको ऐसे दबा दोगे ना तो मैं आगे देख पाऊंगी. हटो.
हम इससे ज़्यादा करने से बंद नहीं जाएगा.
नहीं मैम को कुछ दे देंगे. हाँ क्या समझ
क्या दिया?
We'll start.
A very warm greetings to everyone here. As we are ready to start the event, I, Dr. Shweta Nidhi, Assistant Professor, Department of Forensic Science, located in the heart of Goa, focused on eminent pillars of forensic science, cyber security, and digital forensic, is pleased to welcome you all in the one-day workshop on sexual assault investigation 2023. In the words of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, no civil society can tolerate any kind of injustice towards women of the country. The nation will not tolerate those committing rapes. With this in the mind, Parliament has made a provision of strictest punishment by passing the Criminal Act Amendment Bill. With this positive enthusiasm, let me take an opportunity to welcome the dignitaries and introduce them to all. So, we are gratified by the presence of our dignitaries here. I would like to welcome Shri Arun Kumar Mishra ji, IAS, Secretary, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Goa State. I would like to welcome Srimati Aslam Khan, IPS, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Goa State. I would like to welcome Shri Peter F. Borges, Goa State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Goa. I would also like to welcome our expert speaker, Dr. Professor Robert Green, he in the University of Kent, UK. I would also like to welcome Dr. Lokesh Chauhan, Dean Academics, NFSU Goa. I would also extend my heartiest welcome to our Deputy Registrar, Shri Raman Kumar, NFSU Goa. My welcome to Dr. Silvano D. Sapeco, ex-professor, Forensic Medicine and Toxicology, Goa Medical College, Goa. And my heartiest welcome to you, to the all students who are present here to attend this one-day workshop on sexual assault investigation. I welcome you all. So, before we move on, I would like to introduce you to the significance of this conference. Sexual assault in India is on the rise. There are about 450,000 cases, reported cases, of crime against women in India in the year 2021 as per National Crime Records Bureau data. And there is a rise of 20% of the rapes in India as compared to the previous year. In pandemic led to rising risk and decreasing urgent care seeking for sexual assault and domestic violence survivors. Therefore, there lies an urgent need, an emergency need for platforms like such to aware, educate, and innovate. Innovate the ideas which are concerned with the sexual assault cases. This workshop brings together experts and practitioners from diverse fields, including law enforcement, forensic medicine, judiciary, human rights. So these experts are here to deliberate on effective strategies, share insights into recent trends, and explore innovative approaches to the investigation of sexual assault cases. Now, with this introduction, let us move on to invite the dignitaries on the dais. So, we would like to request our chief guest, Shri Arun Kumar Mishra, Secretary, Women and Child Development, Goa State, on the dais. Please give a round of applause, please. Srimati Aslam Khan, Deputy Inspector General, Professor Robert Green, University of Kent, UK, Dr. Lokesh Chauhan, Dean Academics, NFSU Goa campus, to kindly grace the dais. Thank you, Soren ma'am. It is rightly said, flowers have an expression of countenance, such as smile and happiness, and a way of pleasing like none others. So, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to give this moment to express our happiness and welcome the distinguished guests and dignitaries with floral bouquet and memento to the dais. So, with this thought, I would request Dr. Lokesh Chauhan, sir, Dean Academic, NFSU Goa, to kindly extend a floral welcome and memento to Shri Arun Kumar Mishra, Secretary, Women and Child Development, Goa State. We would like applause because sir has found out time for us to be here. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. So a kind of gratitude, a shawl, sir. I would request Shri Raman Kumar, Deputy Registrar, NFSU Goa, to kindly extend a floral welcome and memento with a shawl to Srimati Aslam Khan, Deputy Inspector General of Police. I would now like to request Dr. Rakesh Yadav, Associate Professor, National Forensic Sciences University, Goa, Assistant Professor, Department of Cyber Security, to kindly felicitate Shri Peter F. Borges, Goa State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Goa. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I would now take an honor to request Mr. Abhishek Singh, Faculty, National Forensic Sciences, Goa, to kindly extend a floral welcome to Professor Robert Green, University of Kent, UK. Sir, thank you for being here. And this shawl can be used when you are way back in UK. Right. Even in Delhi also, sir. With this, I would now request Mr. Dova Nani, Scientific Officer, NFSU Goa campus to kindly felicitate our Dean Academics, Dr. Lokesh Chauhan, NFSU Goa State. Please, round of applause, please. Thank you so much, sir. I would now also request Mr. Abhishek Singh, faculty NFSU Goa, to kindly extend floral welcome to Dr. Silvano D. Sapeco, ex-professor, Forensic Medicine and Toxicology, Goa Medical College. Please, sir. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you. With this, in India, we start any occasion, an auspicious occasion, with lightening of the lamp. So, I may now request all the dignitaries on the dais to please do the honors and light the lamp and start the event.
आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुध्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापम् सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तु ते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं योगिशा प्रभुरव्ययः
Astoma sadgamaya, tamsoma jyotirgamaya, mrityoma amritam gamaya. Lead us from ignorance to truth. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to deathlessness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let us now move on with this saying to an opening address. So with us here for the opening address, we have Dr. Lokesh Chauhan, Dean Academics, NFSU Goa campus. Dr. Lokesh Chauhan is an associate professor, Home Ministry, Government of India. Sir has experience of serving at various national importance institutions in India. Example, IIIT, NIT Harmipur, MNIT Bhopal, and so many. With extensive teaching experience at prestigious institution, Sir has made significant contributions to the field. Dr. Chauhan served as an assistant professor in the Computer Science and Engineering Department at National Institute of Technology, Harmipur, HP. Sir holds a PhD in the Department of Information and Communication Technology at the Indian Institute of Information Technology Management, Gwalior, India. With a strong academic background, Dr. Chauhan has completed his PhD in the area of cognitive radio at IIIT, Gwalior, India. His research focuses on network security, Internet of Things, cyber security, and blockchain. He possesses substantial experience in both teaching and industry. In addition to his time at IIIT Surat, he has also worked at NIT Harmipur and MNIT Bhopal. Dr. Chauhan has authored over 60 research papers in various national and international journals and conferences and has contributed to several book chapters and patents. Presently, Dr. Lokesh Chauhan is dedicatedly working at National Forensic Sciences University. So may I not request, sir, for the opening address? Please give him a round of applause. Yes, so a few seconds, sir. So, Madam has rightly reminded me, just slipped out of mind. The students, ma'am, which are present here, are from Forensic Sciences University here. They are student of Masters in Forensic Sciences, Bachelors in Forensic Sciences, Masters in Cyber Security and Digital Forensics. So, and we also have some of the students from across Goa state colleges. So, one of the students is from Law College, Miramar. So, here we have, ma'am, intellectual gathering. So, I would also, if I have missed, I would like to welcome all the students here present. Thank you so much. So, sorry. One intellectual person which I must mention is Dr. Panag S. Kumar. Sir has, in very short span, has agreed to be here, to be present in the workshop and to give an expert lecture. So, Dr. Panag S. Kumar is assistant professor in the Goa Medical College in the Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology. And he has vast experience of 30 years working in the department. So I would like to welcome you, sir. Welcome you here. And I hope, thank you so much, sir. So just I take 2 minutes to welcome just newly added, our guest is Madam Poonam Barne. She is Director of Prosecution Goa. Please put her a round of applause. Welcome, ma'am. Madam is accompanied with Miss Milina Gomes, and ma'am is Deputy Director Prosecution Goa. Please welcome her also. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Sir, the dais is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Seta. Respected dignitaries on the dais, today History of Woman and Child, Srimati Aslam Khan Madam, IPS and Director, Inspector General of Police. Is it okay now? Sir, Peter Borges, Chairman, Goa State Commission of Child Rights or Children Rights, international expert of today's event, Professor Robert Green from University of Kent, all the invited guests, dignitaries from various law and enforcement agencies, directors, my colleague faculties, and my dear student. First of all, a warm welcome to this event of one-day workshop on sexual investigation. On this occasion of profound significance, I stand before you as a dean of this campus, full of gratitude and appreciation that we are organizing an event and workshop which is based on sexual assault investigation. So it is really important to heartily welcome each one of you, starting from our first guest. So firstly, I extend my sincere thanks to and welcome to our esteemed chief guest, Sri Arun Kumar Misra ji, Secretary, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Goa State. We are honored by your presence and your commitment to addressing the critical issue surrounded sexual assault is truly commendable, sir. A special acknowledgement goes to our guest of honor, Srimati Aslam Khan Madam, IPS and Director Inspector General of Police, Goa State, because not only welcome you, ma'am, also thank you because yesterday itself, in the short span of time, you are agreed for our event. It is really commendable, and you are a also warm welcome to our keynote speaker of today's event, Professor Robert Green, who came from University of Kent, UK. Your expertise enriched our understanding and inspired us to strive for excellence in the field of sexual assault investigation cases, sir. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to our campus director, Professor Naveen K. Chaudhary, for instrumenting the proceeding of today's workshop on sexual assault investigation. Despite being is unable to participate in person due to some other personal commitment, his guidance and uninterrupted support always motivate to organize this kind of event in our premise. I also warm welcome to the chairperson of Goa State Commission for Child Protection, Sri Peter Burgasji. Your dedication to creating platform for learning and collaboration has really remarkable. I also want to welcome and gratitude for our sponsor, High Media, Thermo Fisher Scientific, Aquiria Life Sciences for their generous support. Your contribution, your commitment and contribution to advancing molecular biology and providing cutting edge solution is key instrumental in deriving process. So when I was just thinking about this workshop, then I have just observed, then I felt that although we have very strong legislation system, very strong rules and regulation and laws to protect and provide safeguard to women and child, but I have seen yesterday's report itself, which is released by National Crime Record Bureau, NCRB, and what I found, as per the record itself, I found almost 4,45,256 cases reported against crime cases registered against the woman. So although this percentage is not too much with respect to the woman, almost 4% raise in case of in the comparison of 2021. But if you will compare the assault and rape cases, then there is a rise of almost 18.7, nearly 20%, 20% raise in the crime of sexual assault and rape cases. So it clearly indicates this type of cases are really increasing rapidly. To address this critical issue, we are here, and the main objective of this work also that we need to address and on the real time basis, so that our investigation agencies can expedite this kind of cases and also differentiate various fake cases, or we can say genuine cases, because nowadays I have also seen some of the article where it is also highlighted. So investigation is the process which can clear out also these things. So whether sexual assault cases related to rape, child abusing, immoral trafficking, or cybercrime related to women harassment, revenge, greed, or blackmailing. So, objective of this workshop is not only to generate and educate and create awareness among all the participant and expert, but it will also create cooperation and help so that the investigation process related to sexual assault cases can be expedite on real-time basis. So, I really welcome all the participants, and this workshop is actually designed in such a way so that participant of this workshop will be benefited by various keynote session, expert lectures, hand-on practices to understand and help in the investigation process. If you will see the schedule of this workshop, then second half of the workshop is actually having 2 parallel sessions. One of the parallel session is also having roundtable conference and roundtable meeting, in which most of the law and enforcement agencies, legal professional people and commission people, they will also attend, and they will also provide their opinion and suggestion to the government for creating or modifying the policies, as well as it will also expedite the investigation process. So, again, heartfelt welcome to all organizing committee for their tireless effort for planning and executing this workshop seamlessly. Your dedication to create a platform for learning and collaboration has made cornerstone of this event success. In conclusion, I express my deepest appreciation to each participant who is attending this event from various parts of the country. A speaker, a sponsor, member of the organizing committee. Your collective contribution have made this workshop meaningful and impactful. I hope that you will take the benefit of this workshop, and this valuable insight will definitely create long-term future goal. In this word, I am just ending my welcome note as well as my opening address. Welcome you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your welcome address, sir. And we assure you that the main motive of this workshop, which is learning and exchange of knowledge, will be truly served. Thank you so much, sir. Moving ahead, we have with us Shri Peter F. Borges, Goa State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Goa State. Sir Borges currently chairs the Goa State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. His pivotal role in shaping responses to critical issues, including sexual health, HIV, and drug abuse, is underscored by a steadfast commitment to fortify Goa's child protection system. Sir is spearheading policy reforms and emphasizing the implementation of the Juvenile Justice Act and POSCO Act. He is a doctoral research scholar at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. Mr. Borges significantly contributed to the academic discourse in social work. Sir has impactful role as an assistant professor at Don Bosco College and Goa College of Home Science. He has played a key role in designing the Masters in Social Work program at Goa University. Sir, in 2009, has founded the Human Touch Foundation, a youth-led organization, human rights and social justice in health, collaborating internationally with justice, collaborating internationally with UNAIDS in South Africa, Kenya, Zambia, Tanzania and Thailand. Sir, as a member of the Child Protection Committee, Accor Hotels Groups Watch Program, is doing his part extensively. He holds the bachelor's and the master's degree in social work from Nagpur University. I would like to welcome Sir for the keynote speech. Sir, please.
Respected guest on the dais and my dear friends, I'm going to be brief, but I'm also going to explain concerns almost towards the end of my term as a chairperson, and what I witnessed on this particular subject matter is something that has bothering me for quite some time, and especially the yesterday's figures which came out on Times of India as regards children, something which again bothers me, that we are on top, one of the top state in rape cases when it comes to minors, and those are, I think, to 2022 figures. But then recent past, what we are witnessing is also very alarming. There are few concerns which I want to summarize here. Is the role of internet nowadays. Besides the regular sexual abuse what we have witnessed, we recently had an engagement with Kelya Satyati Foundation and had a consultation on something called a child sexual abuse material. And the Goa figures were very alarming. 43,633, almost 90% of those files were self-generated. So the grooming happens in such a way that our own children generate their images and upload it in online space. So that is one aspect where we have not been prepared, and we need to do a lot, especially build the capacity of our stakeholders to address. When I go around interacting with the stakeholders, I found lack of knowledge. And I don't know how many of us in the room also knows, especially those who are from cyber might know all this, but generally there is lack of knowledge that again concerns us. The prevention program, again, we need to invest in prevention program and also research. We are not able to understand, especially in the context of Goa, there are not many researches done to understand what are the contributing causes to the rise in child sexual abuse. Especially recent times, we have seen those who are protectors of children has been abusing, teachers abusing the students. Again, delayed reporting, especially in the context of schools, delayed reporting is something which worries us. The other aspect is adolescent pregnancies, 85 of them in recent times. And more alarming is that a lot of these are detected in the late stages. We have found young students studying in the class not knowing that they are pregnant even in the 4th and 5th month of their pregnancy. So these are the things which bothers us, and again it puts an responsibility on us. So what Commission has done is recently we have tied up with ARPAN. ARPAN is one of the largest pan-India organization working on child sexual abuse. We have trained 3,000 teachers, and in January again we'll train another 2,000 teachers. So basically we are trying to go by a mandate of monitoring the POXO Act and trying to create that professional prevention programs surrounding schools. The other thing which I want to also highlight, that we need to really strengthen the social protection and the legal system when it comes to sexual abuse cases on children. We have failed very badly when it on certain indicators, special scheme, the delayed, especially the delayed cases are going on for quite some time despite POXO mandate to finish off the cases within a year. Sometimes we see even cases dragging on to 5 to 6 years. So that is something we are bothered, and it amounts to secondary victimization of the victim. So these are the few things, and I feel that I can speak a lot on this matter, but I want to curtail here and just share that it's a collective responsibility and a shared responsibility when it comes to protecting our children. Sometimes we try to point it out to certain stakeholders, but then we should understand that this is a shared responsibility. Also, my one appeal, since a lot of students are here, you are welcome to intern with the commission and help us, especially to improvise our programs surrounding child sex. You can take small projects with us, and that will help us to understand and do some evidence-based programming in the state of Goa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for bringing out such data in front of our future of today. And also, you rightly said, sir, that we should work on prevention program and research, and that is required. And I would also request after sir that students should take starking interest in matters like this, which is of matter of interest not only to the state but to the country, sir. So moving ahead with this, I would like to,
I'll tell you one thing very clearly. We have women help desk in police station. Other than the rape cases, whatever generally like dowry cases or assault cases, तो हम लोग उसमें women को बिठाते हैं. I'm totally against this idea. Why should a woman only be considered as a person who can understand a woman? Why not men? Anyone? Anyone, please?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
I would want to thank you for coming. As a student, I would want to know what happens if the accused is one of your staff, the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, if the accused, an accused is an accused, is from police. Accused are treated equally. लॉ सबके लिए सेम है. हम कहीं किसी को बचाते नहीं हैं. और जो रेप केसेस हैं, जो असॉल्ट, जो वुमेन रिलेटेड केसेस हैं, देखिए हमारा जो सोसाइटी का फैब्रिक है वो ऐसा है कि इट्स नॉट दैट कि हमारा ये जो अभी हम फिगर्स की बात कर रहे थे कि हमारे फिगर्स बढ़ गए हैं. आपको क्या लगता है फिगर्स में मतलब एक्चुअल में ये केसेस बढ़े या रिपोर्टिंग बढ़ी है? इज रिपोर्टिंग. व्हाई? Because we are creating more awareness. Because now the school kids, I remember when I used to go to school, हम लोगों के टाइम में कुछ ऐसा नहीं था. If I say, for an example, कि मुझे किसी ने बचपन में मान लो मेरे रिलेटिव ने असॉल्ट किया हो, मेरे पास कोई मैकेनिज्म नहीं था किसी को बताने का. I could not have gone to my mother, to my father, to my any of my relative, even to my brother and sister and tell them. Because it was considered as a taboo. और ये आज चीज़ें ख़त्म नहीं हुई हैं, मिनिमाइज हुई हैं, ख़त्म नहीं हुई हैं. when Peter sir was talking about this incest cases, see that she has been assaulted by her relative, maybe father, maybe stepfather, maybe grandfather, maybe chacha, mama, friend of parents, anyone. हमारे जब उसकी फैमिली की नॉलेज में आता है तो वो बहुत कम ऐसे लोग होते हैं हु सेज कि हाँ यस गो टू द पुलिस स्टेशन रजिस्टर केस अरेस्ट द अक्यूज्ड. रिलेटिव्स को बचाने में लोग लग जाते हैं. आई विल शेयर अ केस विद यू. देयर वाज अ 3-year-old गर्ल and 3.5 she was a nursery student when I was in Delhi. This is a Delhi case from a very reputed school. Her mother complained, she made a PCR call that my girl is having some problem, some stomach ache, and I think she has been sexually assaulted. Okay, our staff went, she was medically examined, problem हुआ था. जब हमने लड़की बच्ची से और उसकी मदर से अकेले में बात करी तो she took the name of grandfather. As soon as the father of the girl came, he just ran away with her daughter. And he thrashed, abused his wife कि मैं तुझे भी छोड़ दूंगा अगर मेरे बाप को फंसाएगी तो. ये आज भी होता है. हम लोग पढ़े लिखे हैं जो भी हैं, लेकिन ये आज भी होता है. When I was posted in Andaman Nicobar Islands, I just made a analysis of the rape cases on my own because it's an area of interest for me. I love investigation. Out of somewhere around, Andaman is a peaceful place, ज़्यादा rape cases होते नहीं, somewhere around 60-70 cases जितने थे, most of the cases, around 90% of the cases were of either live-in relationship turned soul, boyfriend, girlfriend, और जो माइनर जो फोर्स्ड रेप होता है जिसको हम एक्चुअल में रेप कहेंगे डेफिनेशन में, वो बहुत कम था. हमारा जो राइज फिगर्स में हम देखते हैं गोवा में तो फिर भी बहुत कम है. वी हैव बीन पोस्टेड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इन दिल्ली. वहाँ पे हम लोगों का जो रेप केसेस होता है वो लिव इन रिलेशनशिप्स का बहुत होता है. देयर इज़ अ यूपीएससी सेंटर पूरा दिल्ली में 3-4-5 हब्स ऐसे हैं. कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर है. लिव इन रिलेशनशिप्स आर वेरी कॉमन. व्हेन रिलेशनशिप्स टर्न सोर तो वो लड़कियां कंप्लेन करती हैं. नाउ देयर आर मेनी फोरम्स ऑफ मेन ऑल्सो कमिंग इन. दे से दैट इफ वी आर इन अ कंसेंशुअल रिलेशनशिप then why is male partner only the accused and how is he accused? I agree to it. I may not sound like a police officer but I agree to it, right? So I'll come to the investigation point of view. हम लोगों का investigation जो होता है, as soon as we receive a complaint, the caller is attended by a lady police officer. Here a lady police officer because you know third level we have a lady police officer. यहाँ से हम लोग उन NGO को बुलाते हैं. NGO के बाद हम लोग विक्टिम असिस्टेंट यूनिट में जाते हैं. वहाँ उनका स्टेटमेंट रिकॉर्ड होता है. उसके बाद कोर्ट में स्टेटमेंट रिकॉर्ड होता है. ऑल दीज थिंग्स हैपन्स. देन व्हेन द केस गोज टू द कोर्ट वेयर आई थिंक द पीपी मैम विल थ्रो मोर लाइट ऑन दैट कि एक्विटल कितना होता है, कन्विक्शन कितना होता है, एक्विटल के रीजंस क्या होते हैं. दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट. एक्विटल बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, कन्विक्शन रेट इज़ वेरी वेरी लेस. सो हमारा एक प्रोसीजर होता है जुडिशरी का, उसमें इतना टाइम दिया जाता है. इनफैक्ट मैं आपको बताऊं तो व्हेन वी आर in the process of registering the case, if we have registered the case today, if the relative is involved, कल लड़की अपना statement बदल. So I think awareness is one of the key. हमारे पास अभी गोवा में भी cases आए हैं. What we are doing is, and what I requested Peter sir also that day, one day when we were in the session, that we should put, you know, थोड़े कुछ हम रिपोर्टिंग बॉक्सेस हर स्कूल में लगा दें. कॉलेज स्टूडेंट्स तो चलो ग्रोन अप होते हैं, दे डोंट हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम, बट स्कूल्स टीचर्स से मोलेस्टेशन होता है, पेरेंट्स फैमिली में किसी से होता है, तो दे शुड, इफ दे आर अफ्रेड टू कम आउट इन ओपन, वो एक लेटर डाल दें, एंड विच शुड बी ओपन बाय अ पुलिस ऑफिसर, नॉट बाय द प्रिंसिपल, बिकॉज We have seen in many cases जहाँ school वाले भी इससे बचते हैं. If a case is reported to a principal or a teacher and she or he is not reporting it to the police, then they are also an accused. अगर आपकी knowledge में आ गया कि आप अब मैं तो पुलिस ऑफिसर हूँ, मैं अगर जा रही हूँ, मैं देखती हूँ कि कोई रोड पे झगड़ा कर रहा है, it's my duty to stop and see why are they fighting and see that it does not escalate and see that they are brought to the police station. Whatever solution has to be done. But ये सबकी ड्यूटी है. आप इसमें कुछ ऐसे केसेस आते हैं, it's our duty. We are bound by our duties. हम लोगों की ड्यूटी होती है कि हम लोग एक विजिलेंट सिटीजन बने. जो आज हम लोग देख रहे हैं वो हो सकता है कल हमारे बच्चों के साथ हो सकता है कभी हमारे साथ भी हुआ हो. So just try to be compassionate and regarding police, we are having sexual assault kits with us, which are designed by MHA, by BPRND, and we are in the process of purchasing them more for all the police stations. There's just one kit is like use and throw, एक बार में use किया. Presently, we are depending on the GMC, the government hospitals, medical officers. उसमें भी थोड़ा बहुत delay होता है, but more or less everyone is very cooperative. We are having shortage of lady police officers. Presently, we have 48 sub-inspectors here. 48 may be, women, कभी maternity leave, child care leave, or some other unit. So, हमारे पास थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है, but we have recruited more officers here, they which are undergoing training. When they will come, most probably Peter sir. So we'll be having it sometimes. So that's all from my side. If anyone want to ask anything, otherwise I'll call Arun sir. Maybe. Can I call him on my own? Okay, she will just introduce.
Excuse
Thank you,
me,
sir.
ma'am.
Yeah.
I have some questions actually. Like in POXO cases, fast track POXO courts are preferred currently. So in such cases, is there enough time to produce all the evidences and all the scientific tests? Is there enough time to be done? That's my question. That's one of my questions.
Yeah, sometimes we do have time when we have the accused with us and everything. We do have all the evidence on the record. When the accused is on run, when we do not have evidence, so we file the main charge sheet, but we keep it for supplementary charge sheet. Supplementary में हम लोग जो हमारे remaining evidences होते हैं वो collect करते हैं, then we file the charge sheet.
Ma'am, in the legal system, this question is not to offend anybody. So in the legal system, there is a separate law for the modesty of women. So why do you think is there is no separate law for the modesty of men?
That's what I told you right now. No, there are many forums coming, which says they are for the voice of men, and I also take up their points. So it's very rare that it's very rare for me, as a police officer, as a woman officer especially. But I do understand there are many fake cases. Modesty of women, सेक्शन 354 यहाँ पे अब स्कोर्स सेटल करने के लिए यूज़ किया जाता है. टू सेटल स्कोर्स दे आर फॉर प्रॉपर्टी डिस्प्यूट्स पे बहुत यूज़ हो रहा है, मिसयूज़ हो रहा है. हियर कम्स द रोल ऑफ आवर इन्वेस्टिगेशन. तो इसमें हम लोग बहुत ध्यान रखते हैं कि जहाँ पे हम देखिए हमारे पास ये ऑप्शन नहीं होता है एज अ पुलिस ऑफिसर कि आपको किसी लेडी ने अप्रोच किया और लिख के दिया, कॉल करी कि मेरे साथ इसने सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट किया है या इसने मेरे साथ आउटरेज ऑफ माई मॉडेस्टी किया है. वी डू नॉट हैव दैट ऑप्शन कि हम रजिस्टर ना करें. नॉट ओनली इन द केसेस वी हैव टू रजिस्टर FIRs. दिस इज आवर ड्यूटी. जब हम केस रजिस्टर करते हैं उसके बाद टू ब्रिंग द एविडेंसेस ऑन रिकॉर्ड टू प्रूव इट दिस वे और दैट वे, दैट इज आवर ड्यूटी, दैट वी डू. सिमिलरली जैसे मैंने कहा फेक केसेस रिपोर्ट होते हैं. अभी हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं कुछ 1-2 केसेस पे, बहुत फेक केसेस रिपोर्ट हो रहे हैं. एक्सटॉर्शन के लिए भी हो रहे हैं. दे आर टारगेटिंग वेल्दी पीपल. दे आर फाइलिंग फॉल्स रेप केसेस. नॉट ओनली, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट गोवा, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट ओवरऑल सिचुएशन इन द कंट्री. थैंक यू सो मच.
There's one more question. Ma'am, like in some cases, like in POSCO cases only, there's cases of rape of young boys. And
Yeah.
in such cases, mostly the known members of family or someone
Yes.
the family one knows.
Yeah.
So there are two questions that how would the family report? There's hesitation in reporting, first of all. How would we tackle that? And what would be the like approach procedure by the police in such cases?
See, when sodomy, we call it sodomy, when sodomy is reported, so take आप ये पूछ रहे हैं कि how do we ensure that they are reported? Here comes the basic thing which I was talking about, awareness. And awareness at all levels, at the school level, at the friends level, peer group, at the parents level. If you remember, there was a case in Delhi, sir, kaun sa school tha? Ryan School? Ryan School. Well, the boy, he was into such activities and he murdered the small boy. So these cases can escalate to any level. So we do make sure हम लोगों का एक public community outreach program होता है where we bring all these what these things like cyber frauds, like the sexual assault of girls as well as boys. बच्चों का भी होता, लड़कों का भी होता है. This is there. We have to accept it. तो जब हमारे पास ये चीज़ें आती हैं तो we do follow the same procedure as I told you. As police officers, whatever the medical examination and everything and statement, we do that.
Just one more add-on question. I mean, most of the cases, it's also seen that there's no particular report, but as I'm like in scope of pursuing cyber background, I've also seen that there are certain videos circulating on internet rather being reported. So how would police like approach to these kind of scenarios?
See, when we speak of cyber world, we have to keep it in our minds very clear कि वहाँ जो वीडियो सर्कुलेट हो रहे हैं वो फेक भी हो सकते हैं और रियल भी हो सकते हैं. We cannot take suo moto action based on a video itself. It may be concocted. तो इसलिए हम लोग we wait for the complainant. If school reports, स्कूल में आता है, मान लीजिए हमारा स्टाफ गया वहाँ इंटरेक्शन के लिए, वहाँ पे स्कूल में किसी ने कहा तो वी डू दैट. अगर पेरेंट्स नहीं एग्री करते हैं तो हम लोग हमारा आईओ कंप्लेनेंट बन जाता है उसमें, या स्कूल के कोई स्टाफ को कंप्लेनेंट बना लेते हैं. बट अब साइबर उसमें थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है बिकॉज वी हैव टू फर्स्ट मेक श्योर कि वीडियो ऑथेंटिक है. इफ द वीडियो इज ऑथेंटिक देन वी डू टेक एक्शन. थैंक यू.
Thank you, ma'am. You're right that the conviction rate is very, very less. So the reasons behind it can be many, but platform like this, like NFSU, is trying to bring all these stakeholders together and work in increasing the conviction rate, ma'am. So I hope our students would serve Goa state. So with this, I'll move on to introduce our chief guest. And before I move on to introduce her, I called sir one day before and said, sir, could you provide me with your bio, sir? And sir said, ज़्यादा तो नहीं है, 3 लाइनें लिख लीजिए. So that is how humble sir is. So with this, but then I've managed 8 lines, sir. So with this, I would welcome sir and give a brief note about sir. That sir is Secretary Health, Secretary Environment, Secretary Agriculture, and Secretary Women and Child Development. Sir has unique distinction of deciding more than 20,000 cases in judicial and quasi-judicial capacities, while government and he has been instrumental in drafting various acts, particularly the Delhi Metro Operation and Maintenance Act. Sir, in his magisterial capacity, has conducted more than. We welcome Sir for the address, and I hope you all learn from Sir, and if you have a question, you can ask Sir. Please welcome Sir.
Respected DIG Madam, Aslam Khan Madam, Professor Robert Reen, welcome to India. Dr. Anil Gokhale, Dr. Silvano, Peter F. Borghi is my friend and colleague, and we are interacting on daily basis. Ashish Shirodkar Saab, SDPO, Director Prosecution Ma'am, Deputy Director Prosecution, we are interacting first time here because we are the same vertical of the government. I will not take much of your time, and I will take you through the one case study of India, a very prominent district of India, but I will not tell the name. And I will invite the attention of all the students and the academicians here. They can draw their reply of their question. My young friend, young lady asked 2-3 questions, and other friends asked. Just I am taking you through the one of the very densely populated districts figure. I will not tell the name of the district, but these are the correct figures. Victim percentage, age-wise, what is the age bracket of sexual assault victims? 0 to 10 year, 8.5%. 11 to 15, 8.5%. 15 to 20, can you believe what is the percentage? Anybody can guess? 15 to 20? Around 70% victims are from that age group. 21, 30, 11%, and 30 plus is only 2.8%. This is the realistic data from one of the district. Now coming to socio-economic background of these assault victims. Lower strata, 53%. Middle class, 44%. High class, upper class, you can say 2.1%. Then come to what is the background of the offenders. General, there may be so many people, but if you bracketize the offenders, mostly accused are uneducated or 8th and 9th standard passed. Here the role of Indian Hindi film comes, where you see the hero, heroine, hero is zero. Education matters. While choosing your partner or friend, you should go by your educational or his educational or her educational background. They are not financially stable, alcoholic driven, unemployed. And one major thing, our friend Dr. Borghi stated that they are driven by the pornographic sites and other things which vitiate the minds. Now the most critical question comes, where you are studying DNA based evidences, non-DNA based evidences. I will come to that by this figure. Do you know the girl or boy or lady or whoever she is? Boyfriend is 50%. Live-in partner around 4%. Husband 6.5%. Colleagues around 3 to 4%. Stepfather around 4%. Mother's live-in partner, this is an important point, mother's live-in partner, 3% are the offenders for that girl or the lady. And I'm telling you, these are the actual figures, not derived from any source. If anybody wants that source also, I can. And these figures are from 1st January 22 to 31st December 22. Last year figures of one very densely populated district. Paternal uncle 5%, husband's friends around 4%, neighbors around 6%, acquaintances know who is the part of daily routine like tailor, shopkeeper, they are much in number. They are 6.5 to 7 number. Your acquaintances, those you believe them, uncle, bhaiya, sir, chacha, tao, they are around 7%. Only in India, unlike the case scenario of the US or UK, in India only unknown people are 6.5%. Unlike the US figures, the FDA's figures, where unknown people are around 20 to 15% as per general report published in the 2015 to 20. So now case comes when the victim is victimized by their known one, then What the case scenario? DNA test or non-DNA test? DNA test is fraught with danger. Director prosecution ma'am, when she will speak, she will tell you why it is fraught with danger. Because there is a version of he said, she said. Boys will say, she was my girlfriend, she insisted upon me. Girl will say, I was raped, blah, blah, all those things. Then DNA tests are proven. Then what to rely upon? All the students should focus on those issues which are non-DNA tests. And what are the non-DNA tests? Trace evidence. You must be aware of the trace evidences which are very pioneer or very important to substantiate the case of DNA test. As you know, most of the judicial people, first of all, rely upon 70% upon the DNA test or DNA examination. And thereafter, they became reluctant to decide the cases solely on the basis of DNA test. Figures come down to 35%. So it is always better as a forensic expert, forensic scientist, you should corroborate your findings with DNA test and with these trace evidences. What can you tell anybody, any student, what is the trace evidence? Like madam, I would like to interact with them. Any student can say what is the trace evidence? No. Trace evidence means fingerprints, your cloth, torn cloth, digital evidences, digital footprints, shoes front, shoes footprints, all these things are trace evidences. Saliva, body fluid, you can say. So if DNA is supported by these trace evidences, then you can make a foolproof case. This is the role of the forensic scientist you are sitting here. Then the critical point comes for prosecution. How to lead? Prosecution is duty bound to rely and quickly solve these problems. Otherwise, these DNA-based symbols are a very shorter shelf-life. And there are certain cases, if you delay in the process, in the prosecutions, the evidential value of those evidences will lose its credential, ma'am, if I am correct. So faster and quicker delivery of the system is must. What I feel that this is the forensic science. If you recall, before when I was SDM, I conducted inquest around 500. I recall that all the storerooms and malkhanas are piled up with the viscera samples. And viscera samples numbers are 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years are like that. So that was redundant only. There is nothing to solve. But now, to solve these problems, we should go for speedy trials. And here comes the value of your institution, the research. The research methodology, research and advancement, innovations in your technique, in your studies are must. You should work for that and corroborate your studies with the empirical, your experiences and the results. Third, the judicial system. We should train the judicial system. Judicial system including us also, the policy makers. We should be also trained. We should know what are the latest techniques. What are the serial killers are doing? What are the new techniques? There are so many drugs. You must be aware of laser drugs, ecstasy. They are very difficult to find in the samples in the blood. So our technology, our studies should be like that. We should cope up with all those circumstances. I will not take your much time. I was earlier a keynote speaker, so I prepared to put forth the questions before you, but my role is changed. Now I have given the concluding remark. So all these things I presented, and this topic I found very interesting. When Srita called me, I never worked upon this. So I read, I tried to understand this science and tried to be more closer and closer to the subject. And if you want ask anything, you are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing real-time data with us. And I would also add to the data which sir said. Ma'am rightly pointed that the data might be increased because the cases reporting would have been increased. So that is also one perspective to look at it. So that is why you need official authorities to be in touch with the students to tell what is really going in the ground at the ground level. Thank you so much, sir. And with this, we'll move just with the keynote address, which we have been all waiting for our dear friend Robert, sir. So, Robert, sir, is a professor in University of Kent, and basically in UK, he's a reader in forensic science within the School of Physical Sciences at the University of Kent. He has teaching experiences extensively in the forensic science program within the school. He lectures widely on the topic of forensic DNA profiling, advanced topics in forensic science across all the years at the university. Over the years, he has written widely on range of professional topics associated with the management, delivery, and pedagogy aligned in forensic science. In 2021, Sir has become a senior fellow at Higher Education Academy. And prior to joining the University of Kent, Sir worked with the research and service development at the Forensic Science Service and laterally leading the Science and the Technology Unit within the Police Standards Unit at the UK Home Office. Sir was responsible for initiating the Home Office work on performance improvements using computer simulations to ensure the most effective business processes are adopted across the forensic science services. He is well known for developing the leading national program of cold case investigations, operations, advancing, as well as being a national and international speaker on the development of DNA and other biometric diseases. Biometric databases. And throughout his career, he has managed a number of national and international projects, namely, CCTV, street crime, homicide reduction, in order to ensure the most effective use of technology. And OBE in the Queen's Birthday Honours list of 2008 for the services to forensic science. And over 35 years, he has led large number of consultancies both in UK and abroad, dealing with science, technology, historical case review, and how we maximize our business processes to get the best from the investment in science, technology, and policing. So, sir kind of links the authorities, the policing system, the technology, and science bring same platform. Therefore, I request hereby Professor Dr. Robert Green to deliver the expert address. Please welcome, sir. Oh, yes, we'll do the presentation afterward.
I don't think we'll be able to show it. Well, I think it will show in front of the guests, won't it? It will shine on the.
We'll show it.
If you wish.
Otherwise, we can show it. Then we will want to pull them down. You have story. Can you talk for like 10 minutes? And
Of course, yes, of course, yes, yeah.
Before that, I would request our dignitaries to on the dais to please take the seat, sir, so that the presentation can happen here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Please. Please, ma'am.
Are we going to show the presentation now?
I'll show it.
Okay.
Sir, excuse me.
So basically this is one. So
Yep.
down and up.
Will it shine on the screen?
Yeah, sure. permission from you. I have one cabinet meeting.
Oh.
Arun Kumar Mishra, sir. He's leaving due to certain emergency. He has a lot of responsibilities in his plate. Thank you so much, sir. A big round of applause for him.
Is it working? Can you hear me? Is it work? Is it audio? Can you hear me? Good. Want to hear me at the back? Well, in the interest of time, shall we move on, or shall I wait for Greta? Five minutes. Okay. This is my first time in India, and of course, first time in Goa. And what does strike me as remarkable of the students and the other people I've met during my time here is the amount of energy, the amount of enthusiasm, the amount of drive that there is in this country. So believe me, I'm coming toward the end now of my career, I suppose, in forensic science. And so the most important people in the audience are probably not the people at the front, although they do have a role to play. But the people like you who are going to be that next generation of visionaries, that next generation of people who are going to take this work forward, take the work forward from where we left off, and made some good advances, but also made some errors along the way. Do you want me to take this off? Is that better? Okay. I feel like a karaoke star now. Okay, so just a bit of a preamble, and I won't take up too much of your time. I was told to prepare 20 minutes and no longer. But I will start by saying a big thank you to everyone. Thank you to people who've invited me. I've done a few sessions online with NFSU, and so virtually know Sweta for many years, although this is the first time we've actually met in the flesh. So I want to tell you a story, really. Shall I turn that off?
Yeah.
A little story, if I can, which is a true story. It's a story which follows the evolution of our DNA database in the UK. Back in 1995, our DNA database went live. I understand in India there is legislation going through Parliament as we speak to actually, put this legislation and put this technology really at the heart of investigations. So we went live in 95, now 28 years ago. It always seems like yesterday, and of course, many of our young students won't have been around when it makes me feel ancient, because you won't have been around in those years. Okay, I'll tell you a little story about what happened about 5 or 6 years after the database went live, when I was the then head of crime, forensic science in the Police and Crime Standards Unit at the Home Office, and I was asked to, I suppose, sanction the destruction of some samples, some DNA samples. Is it this one? Okay. So thank you everyone for inviting me. And the one thing we did find was actually the criticality of key stakeholders. And many of the stakeholders I've been able to meet this week, people like yourself, ma'am, the Director Generals of Policing, the politicians, the legal experts, really, because we all need to work upon this. It's not just a science problem, it's a science plus application problem. So thank you to everyone. I'm going to share with you a few personal experiences from the database.
Just need to hold this mic a little loud because at the back.
You can't hear me, okay. Can you hear me now? Thank you. So really, when we 95, and we sold it to the politicians, we sold it to society on the basis that this will be good for crimes against the person, primarily crimes against rape victims and so forth. So the science would be, in those days, I would see across my desk every week 840 DNA matches, 840. That was the general number. So it really revolutionized, maximized the investigative and the legal value of all of those matches. And sadly, we didn't. We didn't for a variety of reasons, which I'm happy to spend some time with you talking about. But having gone around the world for a few years now, it seems to me that despite all of these advances, there is in many countries what I would refer to as a pandemic of these type of offences. So, with all that promise of, that science was going to be the key to this, I suppose in a sense it's let society down. Yes, we've had a number of key successes, but we've really never really fully grasped the power of this. And it's always seemed to be very unusual that we have, if you put crime on a continuum, we have, I suppose, terrorism at the one end, homicide, moving down towards, to the lesser serious crimes. The police service there and the criminal justice process prides itself on a detection rate for homicide somewhere in the 90s, 90%, so forth, that round about that figure. And then that next step down, the next, in terms of seriousness, the next step down, I suppose, is rape, sexual offences. It's the next one in that in that continuum of seriousness. When we started with the DNA database, when we started with Operation Advance, when we started with all the initiatives that we were pushing forward to actually make lives better for victims, do you know what the rape conviction rate was? Anyone have an idea of what the rape conviction rate was in the UK? Why would you? But I'll tell you, it was 5%. 5%. From 98% homicides to the next one down, 5%. Absolutely shocking, and national disgrace. I think the UK needs to hold its head in shame. They're very, very cross because, you'd promised us this database. This was going to be the nirvana for, to solve all these crimes. Can I tell you now that the rape conviction rate is 2% in the UK? 2%, an absolute national disgrace. I've just visited some African countries where I don't think we actually know what the conviction rate is because lots of these victims don't even report. So, come on, scientific community, come on, law enforcement. We can actually do better. We can all collectively do better. So it all started for me. This story started in a very damp. So if any of you ever come to London, I'll take you in the pub where this whole story started for me and where my interest in making things better for us. So this started in a pub. It has, of course, some theory behind it, but it started with a conversation of, can we destroy some samples? We've had the database going live now since 1995. We're absolutely groaning with samples in the laboratory. We've contacted the police service. We've contacted the other parties in the criminal justice system, and we'd simply be able to sanction the destruction of these samples. And I stood at the bar thinking about this for a little while because the conversation was in the pub. And I said, well, actually, that doesn't seem very, very sensible. And I actually said no. I said no because if you look at it, these people, these victims have been victimised in the most appalling way. Short of murder, these people have been truly victimised. And then they've been doubly victimised. They've been doubly victimised by a very intrusive sexual assault examination. So we put these victims through that. We've collected samples from them. And then we've put them in the freezer for 20 odd years. And now you're asking me to sanction these for destruction. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, but what we will do is that we will reanalyze these samples. We'll bring them up to the standard of the day. We'll then load them to the database and let's see what we get out of it. So that was the backdrop of this story, for this very quickly, because I know time's short. So why does it matter? Why does it matter what we do with these things? Does it matter at all? This is taken from, I suppose, criminological theory, where if you look at the patterns of offending, I suppose we could say that the non-sexual criminal, they follow a pattern of sexual offending like this. This is age. You can see that it follows the general sort of Gaussian curve, and it starts around about 10 years of age, comes up to a crescendo, and then peters off. These are the people who are actually going to start committing crime. And I'm sure you've got much, much more experience than I have at this. So people start young, but they tend to peter off. Actually, what we found with Operation Advance, because when we reanalyzed these samples and we followed them all the way through and we talked to victims, and before I move on, if you want to get your phones ready, there are some couple of publications at the end where if you want to scan them, there's QR codes in the presentation, if you want to scan them, it will actually link you to the good practice that we got from this. But when you actually overlay the offending patterns of the sexual criminals, and again, I'm speaking, I know, to the converted, but their offending patterns look something like this. You know, they don't desist. They don't drop off with time. The violent sexual criminal, our example showed that they continue. They continue until we all collectively do something about it. Because if we don't do anything, and we have the opportunity here, we have the opportunity here today to do something, and we don't do anything, and we look at this continuum of offending, look at all the offenders, look at all the victims that we let down, that we all collectively let down, because we don't grasp the nettle. So we've heard a lot this morning about incarceration rates, and that the government are going to be tough on increasing sentences and so forth. Well, actually, if you look at the MacLeod-Grove theory of offending, he says actually it's the effectiveness of investigations, the effectiveness of catching these people that desists people from committing these crimes, perhaps more than the sentencing. So we made some modelling. We did some computer modelling, and we know now, with hand on heart, we know what the conversion rate, the success rate is when we submit a sample. So we know for every DNA sample, for every sexual assault kit, of course, there's a gap between those sexual offence kits that arrive in the justice system, those kits that actually analysed scientifically and are not destroyed, like they were asking me to destroy them, the ones that go forward into the legal profession, the ones that are actually taken forward to court. So there's an attrition all the way through this process. So we start off with more and we finish up with less. And our understanding was that at where do these performance leaks arise? The performance leaks arise in the handoff between every part of the process. So from the crime scene examiners, then to the police, to the forensic science services, to the legal profession, there's this step-down model. But we can model this all the way through very effectively. And we use this quite effectively, really, to, I suppose, to leverage money from the government to say, look, if we do this, this is what the bottom line looks like. There were lots of things about finances, and well, of course, all of this is costing money. So why does it matter? I thought you might like a little case study from the UK. Putting it against the backdrop of around about £280 million we spent on a DNA database. I was part of the team that actually convinced Minister that we should actually invest in this. £280 million. Antonio Emilia was a guy who was a serial offender, one of those guys on that continuum I've just shown you. He didn't stop. He was given 7 life sentences, and these are his. This is what he was. This is effectively his offences. If any of you have ever been to London and had the misfortune of driving around the M25, anyone ever done that? It's the orbital road that runs around London. It's referred to often as the world's biggest car park until I actually came to Delhi and I saw the traffic here. And I think this is probably a little bit faster, but it's a big road that runs around. It's very, very heavily congested. And he was committing his offences around this, using this perimeter to commit these offences. And so we look at what his offences were. What offences was he committing? This is them laid out, and of course those are the ones we know about. You know, there may be others that were not reported. But can you imagine, you know, as a father, as a grandfather, you know, what it must mean to have your 10-year-old raped, your 10-year-old girl, your 18-year-old girl raped. But he was committing these offences all the way across this continuum of age. So he wasn't stopping, and he wasn't going to stop really until he was stopped. So why should I actually tell you what's the importance about this case? The importance is 2 things really. One, a DNA database, the effectiveness will always fall short of 1. So this is that we can never catch that first person, because that we have to have the offence to initiate the whole process. But beyond then, if we'd have had Emilia's DNA on the database, all of these offences would not have been committed. It had been captured by the police, and it would have been a story, when in fact it's an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster because this guy should have been sampled. He should have had a buccal scrape taken from him when he was arrested previously for previous offences. So rather than a success, this was a bit of an unmitigated failure. So we started to look at cold cases. We wanted to look back. We used this. Did I miss one out? Yes. The database went live in 1995. So we had the database, but bearing in mind we were telling ministers, we were telling the government, who were spending millions and millions of pounds on this, how great it was, when in effect we were letting the side down like so. So we should have captured this guy much sooner. It would be my sense.
So was it because of the laxity of the government?
Sorry?
Was it because of the laxity of the government?
It was really down to the fact that our law allows for, when an offender is brought into custody, they have a mouth swab taken. Mouth swab is submitted to the database. Our turnaround time now is 5 days. So within 5 days, we have an idea, an identification of who this person is. And I used to see around about 840 of these across my desk every week. So, but the real slip up here was that this person was not sampled when he should have been previously, you know, because the police officer thought, well, you know, I didn't do it, or, you know, I didn't know what to do, or it was that type of thing. So this guy should have been on the database. And remember, I showed you what happens if we don't act. We allow people to go on and commit further offences. You know, if these were any members of my family, I don't know about you guys, but I'd feel bloody cross that this had happened. And we just let people down, haven't we? We've let people down despite spending £280 million on this. It's great. It was great science. It still is great science, and it's going to get even better science. But it's science plus application that will make work. In one that happened just after this. So he was eventually sampled, and of course then, you know, it was splashed all over the newspapers. You know how great the police service had been. You we've captured this serial offender, when in fact it was an unmitigating disaster, because this serial offender should not have been allowed to serial offend. We had the scientific knowledge, the capability to actually do something much, much quicker. So we looked at this from three aspects, from the police, from the forensic science, and from the victim perspective. This, very quickly, because I know people are wanting to go for lunch now, this is an evolution of our DNA at the time, 1985. We had the first case with an old technique, and these were the historic case samples that just got left in a we call it a backwater. They got left behind after the evolution of science. So, colleagues like Thermo Fisher and others were sort of forging ahead with some super science and even more super science, when in fact we were all just left as a community all a little bit shell-shocked by this. Database goes live in 95, and we have an evolution of techniques. But that was the period that we looked at. So I'll move quickly through. The review procedure looks something like this, or should look something like this. So for every advance, for everything that I hear coming out of the Thermo Fisher webinars, we should all take a look scientifically and say, actually, these samples didn't work first time, but would they work now? And we took 148. It's a number I'll never forget. We took initially 148 of these samples as a just to try what they might look like. We reworked them. There were 148 in that first batch, and we were going to upgrade some of these old samples to the modern day. We didn't take all the ones forward, but we identified 215, of which we took 148 forward. We looked back at archives. The police services had been remarkably good in some respects about keeping their archives, keeping this, I think you mentioned this morning, archiving material, freezing this material down, keeping it for forever really, because we don't know what's coming around the corner. We looked at original exhibits. So this really catalyzed, looking at these samples, we looked at microscope slides. It really catalyzed lots and lots of thinking, lots of learning around this. Not just scientific learning, but learning more broadly. We looked at retention policies. How long were we hanging on to these samples for? And this, I thought this might be an interesting slide for you all, because out of that first 215, now just hold the thought for a minute. These were 215 samples that, had I signed I suppose the destruction order, these would have just gone into a bin. So 215, we took 148 forward, I think it was. So you can see that 215 were initially identified, and 60 gave us a full profile straight away. 60 of these victims who would not have been their offences. So we had some that were, but that was effectively the throughput of that sort of first batch of work. We identified masses of good practice. So by doing this we rape investigations. Again, if you want to get your QR codes ready at the end, there are links to this. So we put together the good practice. We went around lots of police services. We had conferences every year. We had a conference, that first conference to initiate this. And one of the things that always sticks in my mind is we would have a victim of these crimes to actually give a keynote address. Can you imagine that, how brave these individuals were to actually stand in front of a group of, by and large, male police officers and tell them very clearly that, I was victimized all those years ago, and you guys, you police officers in the audience, you victimized me again. And sitting on the dais in those days, I would often see, I would look down, and you would see police officers drop their head because they knew that we'd dropped the ball. So that was then, and I'm hoping that with the enthusiasm that we have in India, we can.
What exactly do you mean the file has been destroyed?
Pardon me?
What is this file destroyed? What is this file destruction thing?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you.
What the third part?
This one?
Yes, this one. What is this file has been destroyed? Can you please explain?
Oh, we were told, because there were some myths when we actually started this. You know, we approached the police service. We have 43 police services in the UK, and one of the responses a few of the responses we would get was, well, Bob, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you bothering? Why are you digging up all these cases again? You know, these victims have moved on with their lives. You know, the file's been destroyed. You know, we don't have any material to go with. You know, my advice would be, no, don't take that for gospel. Go and look for yourself, because actually when you start to look for these things, you'll find all sorts of things, you know, where these cases should have been retired police officers who remember the case back from, you know, they're absolutely a mine of good practice. So archiving areas, both official and unofficial, were all the places that they looked at. And this is a little bit old now because, of course, things have moved on. But what did we get out of that sort of first batch? And just hold the thought for a minute, because these 38 offenders would have continued to offend. So it's 38 offenders are not 38 offences. They will continue to offend, and I'm sure, ma'am, you'll know better than I that sexual criminals, they don't stop with one offence. They continue and continue until, I'm not going to point the finger at the police, that we all collectively. So there's much more that we can be done. And one of the things I did was to actually track these. I had a few police officers worked on my team. And I wanted us to track, I wanted us to get the best knowledge that we possibly could out of all of these offenders. These are two offenders who are brothers. They don't look like brothers really, but they are brothers. And can you indulge me just for a few more minutes, Sveta, just to tell you the story a little bit? Because this story started for me when one of my researchers in the Home Office was sat at her desk and she was crying. And I said to her, Natasha, what's the matter? Why are you upset? She said, well, I'm just reading the victim statement from this poor girl who'd been picked up in the 17-year-old who'd been picked up in a car. We're all told, aren't we? Don't get in cars with people. You've been picked up by a car. She'd been repeatedly victimised by these two brothers, and how she'd actually run through a bramble bush, a very thorny bush, to actually get away. Reading a statement, it said that, you know, she thought at the end of this offence, this guy was going to kill her, so she was going to be raped and murdered. So the thought, can you imagine that just for a minute? Just hold that thought. A 17-year-old girl, pitch dark, in the middle of nowhere, being victimised by these two animals. One of which, this animal here, is on the database, so he matches straight away, because of course we had a direct match to him. And but there was another. Both of these brothers had actually raped this victim, and of course we all know, don't we, that we share a similarity between our DNA. So we know that if we've got similar DNA, it's likely to be a brother. And this guy was never on the database. So we actually, on this occasion, we actually got two for the price of one. And we went through all of these. I'm not going to go through these story by story, but there's lots of good practice that sort of came out of these. We put them onto a timeline, so each of these offenders were placed onto a timeline. And what I wanted to get there was, what did we miss? What opportunity? And one interesting thing we uncovered with street workers is that you'd better damn well believe them. You know, why do we not believe victims of crime? And particularly street workers. You know, if a street worker says to you they've been victimised, they've been raped, you better believe it, because, you know, that was our experience that they have. You know, and they're victimised in the most appalling way sometimes. So we could have done better by these victims. So we got I matched them all the way through to conviction. 72% had convictions previous to rape. Some precursor offences, we call them. Flashing, I don't know if that converts very much, but people who expose themselves, that was one of the precursor offences. 90% of these people So 9 out of 10 of these individuals continued to offend after the advanced case. So once again, if we'd have done this quicker, what could we have prevented? So that was just some of the learning. And like I said, I brought along the good practice guidance with me. So the take-home message there, guys, you can read the rest for yourself, but the take-home message is that these are prolific and persistent offenders who will only stop when you stop them. When you stop them with, the power of that sort of push on your pipetting your DNA into the Eppendorf tube, to the legal professions, knowing enough about DNA to take this case, to understand the case all the way through, and take these cases through to a good conviction. And I suppose for me, one of the mantras I would say is that good science now needs good policing, needs police officers who actually understand the science. I'm not going to say they need to be scientists, but they need to understand the science. These were some of the trial remarks. I even got this police officer to go and sit in court and listen to what the judge said when these people were eventually convicted. So it just shows, doesn't it, just how to this simple, lots and lots of good practice, which we don't have time to go into today. But these were some of those. And I actually wanted to take this a little bit further. Before I left the Home Office, I wanted to run some adverts in men's magazines. Because if you look at, if you consider the stats around rape convictions, 2% convictions, it's not a bad return, is it? If you've got that that propensity to commit these offences, you think, well, there's a good chance I'm going to get away with this. I wanted to publicise what we were doing at the Home Office in men's magazines to say, look, we're going to come for you. We're going to come. The police, not we, but the police officers are going to come. You're going to get. We refer to it as the knock on the door, and put the fear back onto these offenders, because repeatedly what the victims told us was that they were, that they'd carried this fear around for 20 odd years. Let's put the fear back onto the, the victims, onto the offenders. Have any of you been following the case with Joseph James D'Angelo? Is that a case you've studied, girls? It's the case, that very first case, it's called the Golden State Killer. It Googles quite well. But why did D'Angelo stop committing his offences in 1995? He stopped committing these offences because he knew that DNA was, he was going to get captured. So previous to that, he knew that there was very little chance that he was going to be caught. So I wanted to run these adverts. We actually never did. But we looked at, we wrote the thing up at the end of it. We looked at the evaluation of findings. We did it in hopefully the best way we possibly could. But can you see how now that the value of DNA is more than actually, just the conviction of one individual? If we do it quicker, we can actually prevent crime. Think of the Amelia case. Yeah. Also think of the fact that that many of our victims, the offenders, pled guilty in the first instance. It helped the victims not having to give evidence. It helped in terms of cost to the court service. It increased the size of our database. And I was very strongly about linking this with good news stories. We would often go into the press because the ministers were saying, what am I getting out of this database, Bob? Because if we're not getting anything out of it, we'll take it away from the police. And we were saying, no, actually, this is fundamental. Give us some time. We'll work through the problems. So all of those problems I want to share with you today, because we didn't get things right for sure. So yeah, that's the benefits. So some key messages that come out of this. Old offence. So if we're asked to look at old offences, don't fall into the trap of, oh well, Bob, these people, these victims have moved again and again. They didn't move on. We can't afford not to act. They haven't moved on. Justice delayed is justice denied. These were those publications I said I'd give you. If you don't manage to catch them, don't worry. I'll send you the presentation. You can actually have a look at it. But there are things that were critical to success. And many of those things that are critical success, I've actually seen in India, my first visit to India this week. Things like, chief officer support, getting a chief officer who will sit in a conference like this, getting people from senior academics who come and listen, getting people from the government who will actually come and listen. These are the things which will make this successful. And of course, the evolution and the push from on the science. So that's really all I wanted to say. I hope some of that's been a sort of bit of a warts and all tour of just one tiny aspect of this cold case program, but just showing the value that each and every one of you do add to the system. And to our students at the back, those of you who are going to move into this field, the importance of your work and the impact that you will have over the course of your careers, well beyond when I won't be here, but I'll be looking at you from above. Okay, guys, thank you.
Um,
So, last thing from my side, I would like all of you to listen to this. Nirbhaya case to sabko pata hoga. So I will just take 2 minutes for Nirbhaya case. See what Professor Green was telling कि इनके पास database होता है. All the developed countries have database of DNA. कहीं rape हुआ, कहीं semen sample मिल गया, hair मिल गया, तो आप लोग इसकी easily you can match it easily. Nirbhaya was a difficult case for us, not into regarding the apprehending of the criminals. That was easy because the bus was identified, the number was identified, it was very easy to locate the bus. It was difficult to establish that these 6 people have committed this crime, and this happened because we had collected DNA samples for that. Out of 6, 1 committed suicide, 1 was juvenile, but 4 of them were they were convicted. So here comes the important role of DNA.
Also, adding to ma'am's statement, I would like to ask one question I have to Robert, sir. Sir, how much you showed the increasing rate of conviction. Sir, how much do you think the role of DNA database is there in increasing the rate of conviction?
It's pivotal to increasing the rate of convictions, but it's pivotal to improving we should take it actually one stage further. It's pivotal to improving the life. We can't just look at the science in isolation. We can't just look at the database in isolation. We have to sort of take a holistic view, and each and every one of you in this audience today has a role to play in that. Can you hear me? Is that okay? Good. So it is just not about increasing the rate of conviction. I think I recall the comment on LinkedIn this morning.
Right.
Because of course, in a very few occasions, we would get a false allegation. So we must always consider that there is a defence aspect to this as well. So what about the person who actually might be an innocent defendant, who's actually not the perpetrator? So it's pursuing DNA in the interests of justice, improving DNA in the interests of victim care, and just really making sure that all the great work that goes on in the scientific labs, we actually can pick up the ball and run with it, and make sure that we don't actually let the side down.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I have one question for Prof. Mine is more of a comment. in one of in your opening speech, you are giving details or data of the UK conviction that is 2%, and again we have the Indian conviction rates, and one of the statement was the conviction rate for Africa isn't yet known. Yes, in that case, in any other continent, as we don't live in isolation. Every other community has its own challenges, and I want to ascertain that specifically Kenya, for example, I am an officer there, and I'm talking from a point of having on the ground. And right now I was even confirming with my colleagues how are on this subject. And I would want to confirm to this gathering that we are not doing very badly, and we are doing good in terms of the conviction rates and the awareness matters of sexual assault. Africa so much in these areas, but I would want to ascertain that they are growing and they are going on the right track.
Sure.
Yes.
But the point is that globally, can you hear me? Globally, or certainly our experience in the UK is that the majority of a good, not the majority, but a good proportion of victims of these crimes, even in our country, don't report them. They don't report them for a variety of reasons. My example was not of Kenya, but of another African country which I've just come back from, where they were telling me that, well, actually, we don't really know. You know, we don't know what we don't know. We know what are these offences that are never brought forward because of the shame, because of the, you know, the sort of cultural issues. So it's a much bigger problem than we think. I think we are dealing with just that tip of the iceberg. There's lots of reports of rapes. Let me just can I just give that a little story, because we had quite a prolific sexual offender in the UK, a guy who was particular modus operandi was stealing women's footwear. So he would commit these offences and he would steal their shoes. And I think 18 of these cases were identified. He was actually captured for 18 of these cases, or some number about that. When you actually looked at this, because he actually kept these shoes, and guess what? You know, there were more than 18 pairs of shoes. Yeah, so there were more victims than there were people who reported this. So that's, you know, just a generalization from practical experience. Okay.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
So another case is this निठारी case, जो आप लोगों ने सुना होगा. निठारी में नहीं हो पाया क्योंकि वहाँ पे हम लोग prove नहीं कर पाए, because we did not have any DNA samples. We could not do it as scientifically as we should have been done. It got messed up because earlier it was with the local police, then transferred to CBI at a later stage. But the culprit could not get the sentence.
Yes, ma'am, because there is increasing demand of forensic experts like you, and I hope you all make a good forensic expert and help the law enforcement agencies as it is required, right? Thank you so much, Robert. And with this, we move on towards the end. And end is not the right word to say here, but it's just, it's rightly said that memory is like a small child walking along the seashore, and you never can tell what small pebble it will pick up and store among its treasured things. So it's just like a memory to, you know, it's going to become a memory, yet such an intellectual gathering, we have got so much to learn from the authorities. We have got so much to now learn in the next session also. So with this,
to have the next session where we are going to discuss intensively about the conviction, how to improve or increase our conviction rate, and all the stakeholders from different parts is going to discuss the matter in detail. But what I feel, and in fact everybody will agree to that more than the convictions, the awareness of our society is much required for the prevention of this kind of cases. And it starts with our family at large, our society, and then the institutions, whoever will be there. So I think at family level, being a parents have more responsibility for giving the awareness to the kids, how what is being called as a sexual assault and how it happens. As we discussed here, that many things happens by the close persons, known persons. So how to initial level, how we could recognize that something has happened to me, that is also is quite important. And apart from that, then the ultimately society comes into the picture and the institutions like schools, colleges, and everything. So somewhere we are lacking about all these things in our curriculum, which needs to be implemented for these things to avoid. And I believe that prevention is more important than the convictions. So now, on this occasion of profound significance, I stand before you with immense gratitude and appreciation contributed to the success of this event. I would also like to thank the expert members who are present here for the upcoming roundtable session of the event. Your valuable thought and insights will contribute a lot for the success of this workshop. Thank you very much, sir. We extend our gratitude to our sponsors, High Media, Thermo Fisher Scientific, and Aquaria Life Sciences for this generous support. Your commitment to advancing molecular biology and providing cutting-edge solutions is instrumental in driving progress. I would like to thank the media personnel for providing coverage to this event. A heartfelt thanks to the entire organizing committee for their tireless effort in planning and executing this workshop seamlessly. Your dedication to creating a platform for learning and collaboration has been the cornerstone of this event's success. Thank you all. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who is attending this workshop. In conclusion, I express my deepest appreciation to each participant, speaker, sponsor, media, and member of the organizing committee. Your collective contributions have made this workshop a meaningful and impactful endeavor. Let us carry forward the knowledge gained and the connections made to further enhance our efforts in the critical field of sexual assault investigation. Thank you. Thank you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. I just want to mention that we are family, and in the family, the head, he doesn't do anything, but he is there as a great support. So with this, I really want to thank Padma Shri J.M. Vyas ji. He's the Vice Chancellor of National Forensic Sciences University, and it's with his support and dream that to provide trained forensic experts to India. So I really thank him that he has been a guiding support to us, present or not present, but he has been always the backbone. So thank you so much, sir. And I also want to thank Dr. Naveen Chaudhary, Campus Director, NFSU Goa campus. He was not able to be present here because of his personal commitment, and that was certain. But sir has ensured that everything moves smooth. Without his presence also, he has been in constant on phone with our Dean Academics and with me, and he had made sure that everything goes very smooth. So I would really thank Campus Director, sir. And with this, we conclude the inaugural function, and we will begin with the parallel session for the student, which is based on forensic medicine, and the expert talk is from Dr. Panag S. Kumar. And simultaneously, before the technical session, what we will do is we'll have a short high tea break. And in this high tea break, we have arranged high tea for the all the dignitaries in the conference room. So we request all the dignitaries for the to move towards the conference room. And for students, all the students are requested to move towards the canteen for their high tea, which is much awaited, and that has brought smile on their faces, ma'am. So and for the media personals, the sponsors, all of them are requested to kindly take a high tea in Pota cabin number 4. So let us move. And before that, I would also like to request a group photo with all the dignitaries in front of our. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.